What's up guys, this is Miyasin. So yesterday I made a video on all the banned monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! And try to figure out if they should get unbanned without an errata and with a small errata, and also if they should just stay banned because they're a little too good. And I'm gonna be doing the exact same thing with spells and traps, naturally, because I want to cover the whole ban list. And I feel like I'm gonna do this every single format because my opinion is always gonna change, and sometimes I don't necessarily have the full context behind certain cards being good. There are some things that I might not necessarily know at 100%, so if I can have your feedback and your, I guess, opinion, it's definitely gonna have an impact on mine. But yeah, before we go any further, you already know the drill. Smash the like and subscribe button. And also, if you're wondering why do I have a face cam covering like a huge portion of the video, I actually do it on purpose just because I don't want people skipping all the way until the end. I want people to listen to my opinion on each card, because otherwise you will be missing the explanation. The positioning of the card doesn't really matter too much. What really matters is what I have to say on the cards. Like, a card might be like unbanned without an errata, also assuming that another card might get banned instead. Don't be a little bitch and watch the video until the very end. Alright, so first things first, Branded Expulsion. This is a very easy one. Branded Expulsion can easily get unbanned if Gimmick Puppet, Nightmare, and all those cards get banned instead. This card is pretty much Albion the Sanctifier Dragon 2.0, so there's pretty much no difference between the two cards. Like, you either ban Albion and keep Branded Expulsion banned, or you unban Branded Expulsion and then ban the cards that Albion is trying to summon. But yeah, it makes no sense to have one but not the other, because again, it does just the exact same thing. And it's also played in the same deck. I don't understand why Konami banned this card just to print a card that is literally identical. It's just so stupid. Anyway, Sixth Sense is a card that, I mean, I could see getting unbanned even without an errata, just because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so much different now. The one issue with this card is that if you can play it in Labyrinth, even if you get a little unlucky, you can keep testing your luck every single turn. And bro, if you mill 5 or 6 cards or draw like 3 to 4 cards, I think this is what people used to do back in the days. They were calling 3 and 4 with Sixth Sense. If you were getting average lucky, you were still drawing a bunch of cards, and if you were getting like unlucky / lucky, you were still like milling a bunch of cards. Or you can also call 1 and 2, and then you can mill 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. So you choose your luck, you choose your level of risk and reward. You let me know how much you feel about Sixth Sense in 2024. Obviously, when this card got banned, rightfully so, it was a little too good, because you milled a bunch of cards, I think, in Dragon Ruler, or you drew too much, and the game was obviously much slower and much sackier. But nowadays, it's a trap card, it's a little slow, and I don't know, maybe it can get unbanned and nobody's gonna bat an eye. Vanity's Emptiness absolutely cannot get unbanned, and I also can't really think of an errata for this card because the effect is so simple. Neither player can special summon monsters, but this card leaves, like, when any of your card is sent from the field or deck to the graveyard, Vanity's Emptiness also dies. This is still way too good because it's still like Cosmic Cyclone or Bust for the most part, or something like that. Brilliant Fusion. For Brilliant Fusion to get unbanned, we would need like the other Gem Knight Fusion monsters to like get a hit or something, because that's the main reason why Brilliant Fusion got banned. It wasn't because it was abusable as an engine, even though it was very good as an engine. If we just unban the card, what is it really gonna change? Like, Scorpio is gonna get better? Sure, but like, nobody really cares. Confiscation, no. Yeah, this card cannot get unbanned at all. Same thing with the Forceful Sentry, they pretty much have the same effect. That Grass Looks Greener is one of the, I guess maybe one of the worst cards in the ban list, or rather one of the less broken cards, not one of the worst, but it's a really good card that I can easily see getting unbanned. Very realistic. I could see this card getting unbanned like tomorrow, potentially, just because this card is only really good in a few amount of decks that aren't even that insane to begin with, and it's also not like you can play left arm to play this card, because then you lose super hard to Ash, and even when that grass was like full power, left arm was also not like mandatory at all. I mean, I remember when I played 0 left arm in my Inferno Zodiac deck, it was great. I hated left arm. And also, people who played left arm didn't really like it too much, even before Ash. And then Billy Brigg, he started having a lot of success with 1 left arm, and then he even said, like, he could cut the left arm and it wouldn't really change too much. This card's just irrelevant. Like, obviously, you have Triple Tactic Thrust to get access to it, which is cool and all, but what are you really playing this card in? In 60 card decks that usually can't play a lot of hand traps, or I guess they can, but then you don't necessarily always see the best cards in your deck. It has pros and cons. But it definitely has a huge impact on how the game is played, because now you gotta start counting cards, and you gotta start asking your opponents how many cards in deck and stuff like that. It's just, oh yeah, this card is it's gonna It's gonna be huge if it gets unbanned, but I don't know. I could see it getting unbanned, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will happen. Heavy Storm. Yeah, I mean, if Duster is a thing, then Heavy Storm, that is pretty much worst for the most part. And I hate the freaking Unchained argument. It's so stupid. Because that's only true when all your hand is like, when your hand is like double traps, or like a spell in a trap, or a monster that doesn't work with the trap, like Sarama in a trap, then sure, Heavy Storm is good, but bruh, it's just not, it's not real. It's not gonna come up like super often. So yeah, Heavy Storm more often than not is worse than Duster. Yeah, just Duster you can draw it at any moment. Heavy Storm, I guess, is still gonna blow up your macro, which for the most part is undesirable. And I also can't really think of other good examples. Every single time I see people say that a Heavy Storm is much better, they say things that are factually incorrect, like, Heavy Storm is broken with artifacts. Yeah, okay, alright. Yeah, if you say so. I guess I know how to read, you don't. To be fair, we're Yu-Gi-Oh players. I also don't know how to read. Giant Shrunade, no, this card's never getting unbanned, because we have Hate Shrunade, which is basically the errata version of this card. So it wouldn't really make any sense. Like, how can you errata Giant Shrunade? The issue with this card is that you bounce back your own equip spells and continuous spells and field spells, and then use them again. You basically only use this card for yourself, and I guess bouncing back your opponent's back row is an added bonus. Giant Shrunade is miles ahead of Duster. Like, it's not even close, whereas Heavy Storm, literally on the same league. So there's a huge difference between these two cards. Summon Limit, nah. Red Reboot. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, Red Reboot is at 1 in the OCG, so I mean, I could see it getting unbanned even without an errata. But personally, I think it would be a little better if it gets unbanned with a small errata. Doesn't have to be anything huge, but I also can't think of any example. Maybe your opponent can use like one trap for the rest of the turn, but not the trap card that was set or that was negated. Maybe. The Return from the Different Dimension. This card is very slow. It's not super easy to abuse either. It requires a lot of setup. I think it could get unbanned. It would be fine. But Dimension Fusion, on the other hand, no, not that one. This is like the more unfair version of Return from the Different Dimension, just because this is a normal spell. Whereas this, like, what are you gonna do? Like, wait until turn 3? Every card that can only be used on turn 3, so on your second turn, granted you go first, is naturally fair in Yu-Gi-Oh! Whereas Dimension Fusion, Jesus, I'm stupid. This card can be used on turn 1, or on your very first turn, even going second. Yeah, this can't be unbanned. And I also can't really think of an errata for this card. Appointer of the Red Lotus. Yeah, I mean, this card got like an indirect errata, just because its effect was not clarified correctly, and it was still broken. So yeah, maybe with like an errata, with another errata, this card could be finally like playable. But it's very similar to Trap Dust Shoot, which is another card in the ban section, which for some reason I am not seeing here. Yeah, I guess that's the one card that I forgot. Oh, you know what? Appointer of the Red Lotus and Trap Dust Shoot is the exact same thing. So, look, this is gonna be the way I test if people fast-forwarded. Delinquent Duel. Yeah, no, not really. Yeah, no, this is not gonna happen. It's a little too good. Discard 2 cards, bro. Imagine discarding 2 Hand Traps. It's basically a double call by the grave. It's not really good. Going first is just a sacky bullshit one of. It brings nothing positive to the table. It just creates more frustration and anger. Like, now, if you also had Hand Traps and you have to Hand Trap your opponent, and you play through your Hand Traps, you like mega hand loop yourself for free. Pot of Greed. I mean, we have so many other alternatives of this card. We have Desires, Extravagance, Prosperity. The issue with Pot of Greed is that it's all those cards, but with no drawback. It's a low risk, high reward card, which I don't think deserves to exist in Yu-Gi-Oh, unfortunately. Especially in a game where card advantage matters so much. Like a 1-card combo can get you a +8 or something stupid like that. So Pot of Greed, digging into 2 cards that could be like massive pluses. Mass Driver is literal bullshit. Whether it gets unbanned with no errata or unbanned with an errata, I couldn't care less. That card's not real. Infinite Loops are honestly really hard to achieve in good decks. Obviously, a lot of bad, garbage, gimmicky decks can FTK, but it's not even impressive. Like Armageddon Knight 1-card FTK. Ooh, yeah, but what did it cost? Everything. You gotta play like 37 Garnets in your deck to do that. So yeah, no, I really couldn't care less. I don't really feel anything, like any sentimental value either, like towards these cards. I just couldn't care less. Soul Charge. Yeah, I mean, this card revives back 5 monsters. Each a little too good. For Soul Charge to get unbanned, it would have to negate the effect of every monster that you revive and make it so that you pretty much can't summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. Something unfair like that. It would not be a small errata. But yeah, that would be a huge errata, so it can't be in this section, unfortunately. Kaiser Colosseum. I don't understand how this card is like a thing in the OCG. Nah, it's actually very difficult to unban in the TCG. Yeah, no. Yeah, it would also have to be in the Hell Nah section. Card of Safe Return just requires like a soft once per turn restriction. Doesn't even need like a hard once per turn. You can make it so that for each copy of Card of Safe Return, you draw one card. So if you have 3 Card of Safe Return, at least it's not going to do nothing at all. There is another card that kind of reminds me of that. I completely forgot. Let me double check. Hold on a second. Supply Squad. If this card could turn into Supply Squad, but instead of obviously when your monsters die, when your monsters are revived, that would be perfect. Very easy to fix, honestly, this card. It's just because if you draw like 25 cards in the same turn with one card, yeah, maybe that's a little too good. Mirage of Nightmare. Yo, I deadass think this card sucks. Even with no errata, it would be so gimmicky to use. Like, yeah, sure, you can draw 4 cards on your opponent's, what is it, standby phase? Yeah, exactly, during your opponent's standby phase. But then during your next standby phase, you gotta randomly discard the same amount of cards that you drew. Usually the combo that people were doing, even in the anime, they were going like MST, destroy their own Mirage of Nightmares so that they would still draw, but then they would not like have to give up on the draws. I honestly don't think this card is that much of an issue, but it can easily turn into the next card of demise for certain trap decks. But then also, how do you destroy your own cards? I don't know. Maybe in a deck like Whitewoods? Maybe I'm missing something obvious, but I don't know. I don't think Mirage of Nightmare is like that insane. Again, you would have to rely on this and MST. Yeah, sure, it's a +2, but still. And Card of Demise is also a +2. Yeah, so it's on the same level as of Card of Demise if you can pull it off. Imperial Order, no, yeah, that definitely is never coming back because I got errata. It would have to get like mega errata this time, so hell no. Butterfly Dagger Elma. I already made a video in the past saying how garbage this card was, even if it were to get unbound, because the combos that involve Elma are just really bad. It's just a bunch of shit cards. So again, this game already has a bunch of FTKs running around that are not good. People don't play them. There are so many FTKs out there. It's not like this card facilitates good FTKs. It just facilitates bad and gimmicky FTKs. But can you name one single real legitimate scary deck that can play Butterfly Dagger Elma? I can't think of anyone. And also Isolde is banned, so equip spells are naturally checked. This card it's a joke. Last turn, oh, I think this card is the broken card in Dinomorphia. Any card that says you win the duel if you resolve it and things go your way shouldn't exist, and also this card can create draws. So yeah, by default, this card cannot get unbanned. Painful Choice, this is arguably the best card ever printed in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! This card would need like a massive errata to be unbanned, so it's not gonna happen. Premature Burial, if it can easily get unbanned if it just becomes once per turn, which is not an unfair errata, then that way it's still a Monster Reborn, and you can still bounce it back and then use it next turn, which is fair. It's not degenerate. The only issue is if you can use it infinite times in one turn, which obviously is really hard to achieve because you pay 8 and then you gotta bounce it back over and over and over. That's the main reason why this card was banned and is still banned. It's the fact that you can bounce it back and then use it again. Whereas Monster Reborn, a little bit more balanced because once you use it, it goes to the grave. This card, nah. Okay, Graceful Charity. No, that's not happening. Metamorphosis is such an interesting one because this card is just as good as the cards that you can summon off of it. So either we need a very small errata or even no errata at all and just test it out. We have some cards that are very similar to Metamorphosis at the current moment. We got Duality, Mutamorphosis. Hold on a second, I actually have it here. If I can find it. It's the exact opposite though. You tribute a monster summoned from the extra deck. Yeah, I can't find it. And then you summon a monster from your main deck, I think, with the same level. And that card is not really seeing any play. So maybe Metamorphosis. No, I'm just kidding. The Metamorphosis is completely different because you're gonna summon the True Exterio, the last word from another planet. So the only way this card gets unbanned reasonably is if other cards get... Yeah, but to be fair, yeah, it needs an errata. Something like that. Negate the effect of the monster that you summon, maybe. Zodiac Barrage is also one of the worst cards in the ban list, for sure. Like, easily one of the worst. It summons a Zodiac monster from deck and that's it, but Jurancia and Broad Bull are both banned. That archetype is overkilled, so I think this card can get unbanned no problem whatsoever. Cold Wave. Yeah, that card's basically like anti-magic arrows that you can use at the start of the main phase 1. It's a little too good, but it's also somewhat counterable. And also, most combo decks, you need to use like spells and chops in order to win. No, hold on a second. I need to reread like if this card also affects your opponent on like their turn after you use it on your turn. I'm pretty sure it does, actually. Until your next turn, you and your opponent... Yeah, no, never mind. This card is absolutely not getting unbanned. Holy shit. Self-destruct button. This is another one of those garbage cards. Very bad card. The self-destruct button is not a good card. And this card was also not banned because it was a good card. Just because this card was annoying as shit. And it was bad for the game because it could... Well, first of all, it could create draws. But also, if you were up game 1, you could use this on game 2. Yeah, you basically win the match, which is really stupid. Like, if you win game 1 and then you create a draw in game 2, it's a best out of 3, so you won 2 games, your opponent won 1 game, so it means that you're the winner, which in today's day and age, this card would never be used. Obviously, this card can get unbanned with no errata, and it wouldn't do anything positive for the game, but it also wouldn't do anything negative just because this card sucks, and it's super gimmicky, and it sucks. Smoke Grenade of the Thief. Yeah, okay, so this card has an unfair effect, but realistically, how are you utilizing this card? It's kind of tricky because, again, Infernoble is super nerfed, Isolde is not a thing anymore, equip spells are kind of difficult to... I mean, no, there's Power Tool Dragon, so you can search that, and then you can destroy it, and then pretty much... Anything that looks at the opponent's hand and discards a card is just, nah. Even if the card is, like, harder to achieve, it's still not positive for the game overall. Mystic Mine, nope, not happening. Ultimate Offering is, again, another one of those garbage cards. Ultimate Offering could be a 3, and people would still not play a single copy of it. So I don't understand why this card is still banned when it's genuinely a very bad card. It's not even that it's not unfair. It's literal trash. I can't think of a single deck where playing Ultimate Offering is the move. These 2 cards, they only shine on turn 3, because this card on turn 2, so if you're going first, you're using it on your opponent's turn, you can only use it on your opponent's battle phase, which is not really good. It's either your own main phase or your opponent's battle phase. So it's either a turn 3 card or a very reactive turn 2 card, but it's still really bad, and it doesn't really do anything unless your hand is cracked and your opponent has absolutely nothing, which is not how you justify cards being in the ban list for over 10 years. It's completely pathetic. Royal Oppression, this card would need an errata that is pretty major, because being able to negate summons or anything that tries to like summon a monster, that might be a little too good, honestly. But it's one of those weird cards that is two-sided. So even if it's not a field spell or a continuous spell, I'm actually going to make shorts on that. A very interesting card, but it's a little too good. And then Last Will, that would need a massive errata as well, because it summons any monster from the deck with 1500 or less defense, attack. And the effect is not negated, but even if it were, it would still be a broken card. So I can't really see Last Will getting unbanned unless it gets like heavily nerfed. For Last Will to get unbanned, maybe the errata would have to be like, you can use this the turn one of your monster was destroyed by battle. Because if it's just like your monster was sent to the graveyard, then you just normal summon anything, link off, and then special summon anything from deck, which is beyond idiotic. Like, this card is easily one of the best cards in the ban list for sure. Yeah, you guys let me know how you feel about this list overall. I think the majority of this is very realistic. If I get any comment of someone saying, oh, Branded Expulsion should not get unbanned because the Gimmick Puppet Nightmare Lock is unfair, you guys are just proving that y'all are retarded. But I swear to God, this is what I expect every single time I make a video on just ban list and everything. I'm always gonna have those same people that are not gonna listen to anything that I say. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.